Hi, my name is Reverend Dale Brown, and I have the great privilege of being the pastor at Community Church at Ocean Pines, and I welcome you to this morning's devotion. One of the main stories in the Old Testament is that of Joseph. And Joseph is a person who is the youngest brother of 12 and is his father's favorite. And that's because Joseph was born to a wife that his father loved and cared for. And of course, Joseph, being at that time the youngest of his family, was the apple of everybody's eye. Joseph at his very best was pretentious and self-centered, and yes, even at times obnoxious. We know him in part because of some of the stories, but also because he had the coat of many colors. Joseph had many dreams, and he liked to tell his brothers about his dreams, and in all of his dreams, he became greater, more powerful, stronger, smarter than any of the other brothers. And this is an era when age and birth order truly mattered, and they just all wanted Joseph to go away. So they saw a chance. There was a caravan heading to Egypt, and they had planned on killing Joseph when he came out to the fields to tell them how great he was, but instead they sold him into slavery in Egypt. And in Egypt, he languishes in prison after he is accused and found guilty, even though he was not guilty, of soliciting Potiphar's wife. He's languishing in prison, and he meets two people who had been in Pharaoh's court. Now, prior to this, Joseph only saw himself, only saw how great he was, only saw how wonderful he was. His entire attention was on Joseph. But maybe prison has mellowed him. Maybe the challenges of life have brought him new insight and new thought. And so he sees this man, he listens to this man, and when the appropriate time allows him to, he takes action by commending him to Pharaoh, and one of the two men is restored, the other is killed. So after a couple of years even, Pharaoh has a dream, and he can't interpret it. And the guy that Joseph helped in prison, even though it's been a long time, remembers old Joseph. And Joseph is restored to a position of power. In fact, he becomes like the viceroy or the second in charge of Egypt, according to what the stories in Genesis tell us. If you really want to make a difference in the lives of people, here's what we all need to do. Observe, observe, observe. Joseph spent most of his time focused on himself, focused on his own needs, focused on who he was and what he wanted out of life and how great and wonderful he was as compared to his brothers. But when he paid attention to someone else, it made a difference in their life and Joseph's life as well. When the observe went from being me to others, like it was in that prison, it made a huge difference. There's a verse in the Bible that says, what you intended for evil, God used for good. And it's one of the most hopeful verses, I think, of the entire Old Testament. Here's what Joseph did. He noticed the problems and the pains and the hurts of others. He asked them about what was going on in their lives and how he could be of help. And then he took action. This is particularly in relationship to those brothers who sold him into slavery. The family is restored, and through Joseph's help, there's assistance for them through years of famine, and it makes a huge difference. So today in our relationships, if we really want to make a difference, Observe, observe, observe others. Pay attention to them. See how they look. Do they look sad or tired or stressed, or are they happy that you can celebrate with them? Ask them about it. Not in a prying, confrontational way, but maybe just say, hey, I know that you look kind of sad today. You look kind of sad today. Or, I noticed that you look really happy. What's different about you? And that rises out of our observation. And then when they tell you, find tangible ways to help. Maybe nothing more than sending a card, but if you can help, please do it. Observe, observe, observe. Don't be focused only on yourself. And notice, ask, and help. I think these are all part of the story and life of Joseph. And if you get the chance, that whole narrative, that whole story is so fascinating and so worth reading. May God bless you today. Amen.